Got something in the mail the other day. Let's check it out. There's quite a bit of glare, but hopefully you can make that out. Stan Rogers from Fresh Water. Blue on blue, not all that legible, but the glare is significant because this is a sealed LP that's still in the cellophane. $11.99 is not quite what I paid for it, but nevertheless, I was quite happy to get this. You don't see Stan Rogers all that much when you're checking out the used or new records out at the shops. And as far as I'm aware, there is no Stan Rogers being pressed right now. You can only get CDs. So this is quite an old record, relatively speaking. You can see the old CBC logo there. It's a bit of a hint. And this actually first came out in 1984. So again, yeah, it's not all that common of an occurrence to see these around. So to find this for a reasonable price, still sealed, I snapped it up. So you've gotten a good look at the cover. And I thought that it would be worth documenting the opening after, I would say, the better part of 40 years being sealed in the cellophane, and playing it for the very first time on video. And that's what we're going to do today. First, I will give you a little reading from the biography on the back. I won't read the whole thing, but there's some interesting stuff on here, and I doubt you guys can make it out by me just clumsily holding it in front of the camera. It's quite small text. A child of maritime stock on both sides of his family, Stan Rogers was born in Hamilton, Ontario on November 29th, 1949. He grew to be a big man, 6'4", built like a fire truck, and possessed of a voice that rumbled up from his toes. He could bluff and bellow, yet was at heart a poet and intellect, who would, often as not, sneak away from a gathering to curl up with a book. He made friends and enemies easily, gaining the former for life and often, in time, converting the latter. There's much more. I'll skip ahead to what I think is another significant paragraph. Stan went on tour shortly after he finished recording the vocals for this album. He was always on the road, pursuing his dream of establishing an international identity for Canadian songwriting. It was a dream fulfilled. Through his constant touring, dynamic performances, and brilliant songs, he was known throughout most of the English-speaking folk music world when he died in a fire on Air Canada Flight 797 in the Cincinnati, Ohio airport on June 2nd, 1983. Memorials and honors were legion in the months that followed, and he was posthumously awarded the Diplôme d'honneur of the Canadian Conference of the Arts just as this album went to press. So that's the tragedy of Stan Rogers. Quite sad to think about what kind of music we never got because of his death on the runway in 83. And this, as far as I'm aware, is his last studio album. There were some live compilations and a best of album released after his death, but in terms of studio albums, I'm pretty sure there are only 4, and they were re-released on CD with new album covers. You can tell this is an old release because any new releases would likely have the updated album covers. Other than that, we'll get to playing this. The first song on here will be the song that we'll hear when I drop the needle on side A. And this song is called White Squall. Wow, this is pretty bad. You can take my word for it. White Squall, yep, okay, fine. I swear I'm not making that up, that's what it says. Yeah, so White Squall is about shipping on the Great Lakes in Ontario. And it's about a young sailor who is a bit naive out on the water and ends up falling victim to a white squall, which is a localized storm, quite violent in nature, and often quite brief on the Great Lakes, that can wreak havoc on ships and often costs sailors their lives if they're not careful. I assume this song is about a ship on Lake Huron because we have mentioned a girl from Wyerton who is the lover of this tragic sailor, and also the Sioux, which is referring to Sault Ste. Marie, which is on one of the northern coasts of Lake Huron. So I'm going to say this is about Lake Huron based on those hints that are being given. Okay, most important part. Setting the record free. And I will include the whole thing on camera so you know that I'm not pulling any fast ones. We're going to do the best with the tools we have. So what I'm going to do is try to make a nice clean slit here in the opening in the sleeve. Now, don't laugh at the awkward methodology here because I'm trying to do this on camera so everybody can see. It's probably not in the greatest of focus, but okay. We're getting started here. Now we don't want to cause any damage to the inner sleeve, which honestly I have no idea what that looks like, but here we go. We got a slit here that should be big enough for me to just start peeling. Okay, here we go. 30 to 40 years in the cellophane, and she's getting opened. There we go. No going back now, is there? Of course. Why would you want to go back? Records should be played. Music should be enjoyed. And all that. Goes without saying. Aha. Here we are. I'm excited to view the inner sleeve. Hopefully it's not just one of those like plain paper ones with nothing on it, but if it is, well, such is life. Sorry about the lengthy process. There we go. That. All right. You can see the cover there with less glare. In fact, there's hardly any glare, so now you don't get to look at me anymore. There's the back again. You probably still can't read that, but I read you some, so that's what you get. Now let's see. Ooh, it does have a nice inner sleeve with info on it. There we go. It's been folded since production. That's okay. We'll unfold that for the first time in 40 years. So here we go. Side 1, info that you can't read again, and side 2, some more info that you can't read. So, without further ado, let's put this on the turntable. So we will start up the old Dual and Harman Kardon amplifier that I got for free. Don't tell anyone. I should be showing this first time out of the sleeve. Ah, what a beauty. There she is. And you're looking at side 1, sideways. There we go. Okay. Let's put her on the turntable. And I should mention the seller was nice enough to send me one of those clear plastic sleeves, so I don't have to use one from my stash. Okay, it's spinning. Let's have a listen for the first time ever.
Now it's just my luck to have the watch with nothing left to do. watch the deadly waters glide as we roll north to the Sioux. Wonder when they'll turn again and get just to the rail and whirl off one more youngster in the veil. The kid was so damn eager, it was all so big and new. We never had to tell him twice or find him work to do. Evenings on the mess deck, he was always first to sing and show us pictures of the girl he'd wed in spring. But I told that kid 100 times, don't take the licks for granted. They go from calm to 100 knots, so fast they seem enchanted. But tonight some red-eyed Wyerton girl lies staring at the wall, and her lover's gone into a white squall. Now it's a thing us old-timers know in the sultry summer calm. There comes a blow from nowhere, and it goes off like a bomb, and a 15,000-tonner can be thrown upon her beam, while the gale takes all before it with a scream. The kid was on the hatches, lying staring at the sky. From where I stood, I swear I could see tears fall from his eyes. So I hadn't the heart to tell him that he should be on a line, even on a night so warm and fine. But I told that kid 100 times, don't take the lakes for granted. They go from calm to 100 knots, so fast they seem enchanted. But tonight some red-eyed Wyerton girl lies staring at the wall, and her lover's gone into a white squall. When it struck, he sat up with a start. I roared to him, get down. But for all that he could hear, I could as well not made a sound. So I clung there to the stanchions, and I felt my face go pale as he crawled hand over hand along the rail. Now I could feel her heeling over with the fury of the blow. I watched the rail go under, then so terrible and slow. Then like some great dog she shook herself and roared upright again, while over her side I heard him calling. But I told that kid 100 times, don't take the licks for granted. They go from calm to 100 knots, so fast they seem enchanted. But tonight some red-eyed Wyerton girl lies staring at the wall, and her lover's gone into a white squall. So it's just my luck to have the watch with nothing left to do, but watch the deadly waters glide as we roll north to the Sioux. Wonder when they'll turn again and be just to the rail and whirl off one more youngster in the gale. And I tell these kids 100 times, don't take the licks for granted. They go from calm to 100 knots, so fast they seem enchanted. But tonight some red-eyed Wyerton girl lies staring at the wall, and her lover's gone into a white squall.
So there you go. Hope that was enjoyable. It certainly was for me. And this record is going into the old milk crate. Thanks for watching.